I think VBS. There's a lot of politicians that are implicated. It was for the first time that I hear of Naledi Pando's name, to be quite honest. But then, given the fact that the value chain in some of these instances does not explicitly mention the names of certain politicians, right? But rather the entities that have got ties to them. You understand? And that's how it is, because somebody like Floyd could even be saying, no, but the person that was mentioned there is my brother and so forth. But when you do your own investigative work, you will then realize that there are ties between what you call Skamega and Floyd.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 5th episode of the weekly news recap. We have Kobas and we also have Benedict. Lauren is not here. Guys, how are you?
Super, Thomas. I'm excited. It's a little bit cold here in Pretoria and probably where you are as well. Looking forward to dissect some of the important things in what's happening around the news, and I'm glad to hear that your son is also healthy now. So yeah, we're ready to talk. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Yeah, Benedict.
A very good morning to your viewers, Thomas. As Kobas is saying, it's been quite. It's very cold, and we're just adjusting to the weather. So someone was even saying, the way this thing is going, it seems like we're back in winter. But nonetheless, we look forward to engagements. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, guys, I want us to speak about the snow on N3. Did you see that? What happened on N3? People were stuck there with the cars. I saw a video of a woman who also had an infant in the car, and today we also learned that there's a person that actually passed away. They were traveling with a taxi, and that person actually passed away. I think it has to do with the cold. Did you guys see that? Benedict, what did you think about that snow in the N3 and how people were actually stuck and the response of the government towards that?
Look, I think the main what is of concern it's government response, because I mean snow and other things, these are natural disasters. Whether you like it or not, you can't really preempt or imagine something like that would happen. But in the midst of such tragedy, you would expect that government and the disaster management what you call services locally there would have responded almost immediately to try and see how do they assist. So it's quite disturbing that there's even loss of life. I mean, I follow Untuli, this other radio presenter, quite a lot. And so realizing that she was even reporting that someone has died, obviously it has to do with cold. Now, others are also claiming that certain people there were warnings, people were warned about not taking the road, and then somehow somebody decided to take the road. So it also goes against two. If there is a warning, no matter how desperate you are to get to wherever you want to go, understand that there's a warning. And do not take these warnings lightly. But nonetheless, I think our government has failed us in terms of responding swiftly to assist those who are in need.
Yeah. What did you think about what happened, Kobas?
Thomas, I really just think that there where it happened is normally there at Van Reenen, and I think that's exactly where the situation was. There's always snow there. If there's snow in South Africa, it'll definitely be Van Reenen. And they should have closed the roads there at the toll gate, the previous toll gate that nobody goes through. I know people want to get home and things like that, but you see people are paying taxis to go certain ways, and they probably got into that snow Now they're running out of water. There's no water for the people into the vehicle. Yeah, it's just another mess of what our government are doing.
Yeah, because me personally, I looked at that situation, and the first question that I asked myself was, how were these people actually gonna respond if these were government officials? Let's say it was them stuck on an highway because of the snow. How were they going to react? Because we only learned later yesterday, that the president said, okay, I'm going to send the army to go there and help those people. But it was a bit late because people were already stuck there for hours and hours, and for them not to jump immediately, like I thought it was quite disappointing, man. Benedict, I thought it was disappointing because if it was them, you could say that they were going to be swift. They were going to be swift, but those people, they were stuck there the whole day. And only yesterday the president said, yeah, let's go and send the army and see if we can get those people out of there. But the videos were coming out like consistently. Every 1 minute there was a video coming out, video coming out, video coming out. People cannot find food, people cannot find water, people, they don't even know, especially for the women, they didn't even know where to go if they wanted to take a loo, because there were
Yeah.
these guys all over. There were the cars, there were the drugs. It was uncomfortable for them even to go out and take a loo. And I was just like, if it was them, how would they actually respond?
They would have had a helicopter flying them in there, picking them up and taking them from that situation.
It's quite disappointing, man. Benedict, this is
Yeah.
disappointing, man.
Most probably. Look, I think it's quite worrisome. Look, you know why? I'm also trying to think that the KZN not so long ago was hit with your what you call a natural disaster. People lost houses. There was flooding and so forth. So, and these were recent events, right? So you would have thought that by now the disaster management team would have been better prepared for any other type of natural disaster.
Yeah.
Now, if they were unable to only deal with assisting people that are stuck in snow, it is worrying that it clearly demonstrates that they might not be ready for another natural disaster that could hit the area, because you have just recently gone through dealing with floods and a certain type of natural disaster, right? Now, it would have meant that as government, you would have prioritized the capacity of the disaster management in that particular area, so that you are then able to swiftly respond to any other possible natural disaster that occurs. Now, if Kobas is saying that in this particular area it's usually occurs every now and then, it says to you that there should be measures that are put in place for such. So if our government was unable to respond, it says to you that they are not ready. They are not ready. They are not equipped to deal with these things. And priority of health and citizens seems to be the issue, because right now we're making comparison between if it was those who are government employees vis-a-vis what you call ordinary citizens. It's quite unfair that the people that whom you voted into power and put into these positions do not prioritize your health, your welfare, and would rather compare as to who's there, that the profile. It shouldn't be about a profile or a stature. It should be about one's life comes first. Every life matters. So maybe we also, as ordinary South Africans, we are quick to share these things, but without really putting pressure on government. We only share for the sake of likes and views, but we do not put the much needed pressure on those that are in government to hold them accountable. And I think that's where, when you compare us vis-a-vis what we see in the States, is that activists in the States know how to utilize social media platforms to put pressure on government to act swiftly in terms of saving lives. So majority of us just share for the sake of sharing and creating content. And instead
Yeah.
of really, there should have been a hashtag or a pressure to say, assist people, intervene with the snow. Right the minute when we started seeing these horrific images of people being stuck. But we're just we're just sharing for the sake of sharing. And
Yeah.
I think our culture has to change, Thomas.
Yeah. And Kobas, Benedict also mentioned the what happened with the floods. And like it really says a lot about these people in government, because clearly this thing of the snow, it is not the first. We've also suffered with the natural disasters before. And if there's one thing that we have actually realized is that these people are not ready to deal with any of these issues. I mean, if you speak about the victims of the floods, they still do not have anywhere to stay. Even today, they still don't have anywhere to stay today. The people that were stuck in that snow for those couple of days, clearly they are going to develop some sort of sicknesses going forward. So looking at all of these Kubas, man, and what can we do, we as the ordinary people, to actually make sure that these people are prepared when it comes to the natural disasters, because they are still going to happen. This is not the first, this is not the last. We are going to suffer again on another natural disaster. So what can we do as the people to actually make sure that these people are prepared? Because to be honest, this government, this ANC government, Ramaphosa, when it comes to reacting to people when they are in need, it seems like they are not interested. So what can we do?
Thomas, I always sit and think about these kind of things, that before I address that, I think Benedict has touched on it. We don't have a caring government. We just don't have a caring government about the people. They don't care if there's disasters, there is. I mean, how many floods have we seen in South Africa, especially in KZN? And there's some when there was all the rain and things from Mozambique as well coming into South Africa. I mean, these are disasters, and we know about these things, and there are people that are bringing out warnings. We knew about the snow, and the people are doing the weather, and they knew about the snow and what is the chances of going to hit those roads at that specific time. I mean, it's not nuclear physicists for the Weather Bureau. It's the political will to help the people, to make sure that we've got plans in place, and putting all these things together, that immediately they would have said, look, we're expecting snow in the Van Renen, Natal area. We have got 20 ambulances, we've got so many helicopters, the Defence Force is on its way, and we'll be there for this harsh weather. So everybody's saying we're going to have harsh weather conditions, winds blowing and snow and that, but nobody does anything about it from the government. So they warn you, but you're on your own. You know, that is the point that I have. So yes, we always say now, why do people still vote for those political parties if they've done nothing, you know? So yeah, I think we must rather move on and think about other things. But yes, we as South Africans must take part in this. We must go out and, as activists, say, guys, you're really stuffing up here. You can't leave us. I mean, we'll speak about the poverty and things like that in other countries, and this is a sad story, Thomas. I don't like that.
Yeah. So Benedict, we saw that the former minister Pravin Gordhan was buried a couple of days ago, and people were actually debating about the legacy of Pravin Gordhan. Some people were saying, no, Pravin Gordhan is a good servant. Some people were saying, no, Pravin Gordhan is an evil that should not be celebrated. So, and when it comes to you, Benny, man, when it comes to you and this thing of legacies, how do you think we as South Africans should actually respond when someone in a stature like Pravin Gordhan actually passes away? How do you think we should respond? Because I think we are still going to deal with these things. You remember when Winnie Mandela died, there were people that said, no, Winnie Mandela cannot be celebrated because of 1, 2, 3. And other people are saying, no, Winnie Mandela is an imbokoto. Now Pravin Gordhan has passed away. And the same thing is happening. And we know that right now we have the senior politicians that are going to pass away, sadly. unfortunately, they are going to pass away. When someone like, God forbid, Jacob Zuma, Thabo Mbeki, when those people pass away, we are still going to have these debates about their legacies. But do you think the way that we have debates about these people's legacies, it's actually taking us forward as the country, or is taking us backward?
I think if there's one thing that's a reality, is that everyone in our deeds, we write our own history, and how you conduct yourself and your work will then narrate the type of legacy that one leaves behind. And in the context of South Africa, we come from a what you call a divided nations. So it means our views and interpretation of one's legacy is relative. Relative in a sense that those who have shared certain corridors with Pravin in this instance would have what you call views about him, and those who've benefited from his interventions here and there will also have a different view about him. So in our daily doings and our careers, we write the narrative of our what you call of our legacy. So in this context, I think for Pravin, he'll forever be known as what you call the face of a government phase that was pro-capital and pro-business, because majority of one could say his work having been centered around business. That's what we need to start interrogating, to say whether the policy positions he pushed for, which were about open markets, assisted the country in any particular manner. I mean, I saw even one tweet, someone saying this man died whilst or when he sold SAA for 150 or whatever issue. So there are different interpretations of how one would then be remembered. But I think for Pravin, of us in the political arena will forever view him and remember him as somebody who always pushed for pro-capital what you call policies, and created conducive environment for business to thrive, and of course other issues might be politically related, but I think in terms of legacy and remembering one, as Africans, we'll always have this Ubuntu concept that death is death, and Sesotho se re lefu ke ngwetsi ya malapa ohle. Then it says it can happen to anyone, and anyone in our family or yourself could then die at a certain point. So, but we need to respect death and allow the families to mourn however best they feel they should. So I think I can conclude there. I don't know what are the views of
yeah, Kobas, do you see this thing of celebrating the legacies as one of the issues that is going to divide us as the country? Because if we look at the senior politicians that we have in the country, we can see that we're still going to have to bury a lot of them. They are there. Unfortunately, they are there. Some of them, they are senior, they are sick, they are going to pass away. So do you think that this is something that is going to
sometimes these old ones might live for a long time. You might have to bury the young ones.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, but I know, but I want us to focus a lot on the people that have done a lot in their lives.
Yeah.
Even when some people can die, I can die before them. I know this is life. Nobody can actually predict life, but I want us to actually focus on the people that have done a lot in their lives, because it seems like these people, when they go out, there's a controversy that actually takes place in the country. So, Kuabas, do you think this issue of the politicians going out, do you think this is one of the issues that is going to divide us as the country?
Thomas, I say my answer is very simple. I think we must respect the family for when a person has died. I I can I can say two things of Praveen on both sides of the argument, which I think he was right and where he was wrong. So I would rather say, we shouldn't focus on that. Let him be buried. Let his rest in peace, his soul rest in peace, and that's my viewpoint. I If you asked me before he died what is my opinion, I would have given you an opinion. But I think it's you say that it's called the Ubuntu. I believe in that as well. To say I would rather not comment on anything like that, and my heart goes out to his family and friends, irrespective of who he was.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm asking this because of how people have decided to respond when something like this actually happens. I've seen that there is a way that people actually respond when someone like Praveen actually passes away. I've realized that there is a way that people actually respond. So this is the reason why I've actually brought up this topic, that can we maybe at least as South Africans actually find a common ground, so that when someone actually passes away, we can actually say that, okay, despite how we might have felt about this person, we can still be respectful enough to actually respect their family. We can still be respectful enough to actually understand that these people also have their loved ones that are left here, and these people, they can see this on these things that people are saying about them. Because me personally, I don't want to lie, I'm one of the people that actually do not appreciate how some of these people have decided to react to people like Pravin
Yeah,
Gordhan passing out. I'm one of the, because I've realized that politics has actually turned us into bitter people. This is what I've actually realized, that politics have actually turned us into bitter people. We might say that, yeah, some of us, we actually respect the family of Pravin Gordhan. We don't want to say anything bad about Pravin Gordhan because he's not even here. He cannot even defend himself anymore. So we cannot say bad things about him because he cannot even defend himself anymore. But I'm talking about the general public and how the politics has actually affected us, because the way people have decided to react towards Pravin's death, it actually shows us that politics has actually broken us as a nation in this country, to the point where people do not even care that this person has a family, this person have a child, they have grandchildren that can read these things that you guys are saying about them on social media. They can see these videos that you are making about their father, their grandfather on social media. And this is how the politics have actually broken us. You see, some of us Kubas, we are decent enough to say that, no, I'm not going to say anything bad about someone who has literally passed away. I was raised by my grandmother. I was told that even if you don't like someone, but once they pass away, you don't have to say anything bad about that person. They cannot defend themselves anymore. But do you guys actually see how the politics has actually broken us as the country? We are at the point where there is no longer Ubuntu. When someone passes away, it's like, yeah, this guy was bad, this guy was bad. And I think it is a very bad thing, man. And I think it is sad that we are in this position as the country.
yeah, I agree with you fully, Thomas. I have seen all the social media. I have definitely seen the social media from the EFF in most of these things. They were all over the show criticizing the late PG. So yeah, I just think that it is so wrong, but I think that is the strategy of a political party like the EFF to do things like that. I mean, they have no respect for women, for people, for older people, person that died and that. They just want to be disruptive, be accusing all other people of everything. So yeah, I think it was very bad of political parties to come out in non-support for him, irrespective of what he did. Because I definitely say, as mentioned, I do believe he did good things. There's a couple of things that I disagree, but I mean, his family is mourning now, his family and friends, and I think it's not the time for us to do anything and speak anything about him.
Benedict, when did we get to this point where politics has literally broken us as people? When did we get here?
I think one of the unfortunate byproducts of being a high-profile member of society and also being being involved in politics and public matters is that your life is no longer your own, and you are a public figure. And by default, having been a public figure, a lot of people would have an opinion about you and so forth. So that is the sad reality about being a public and high profile persona in the public eye. That people will always have an opinion about yourself. That also goes to a certain extent to your family, relatives, and so forth. That's just how the public will always view you because you are a public figure. So I think there's no way of shielding family and your good name, what you call, from any type of scrutiny and so forth. I think what we should be talking about is the culture that seems to be promoted within in the social media platforms. Is the culture that bad news and what you call defamation travels faster than any other good news. You understand? If you look at news that are retweeted, we retweet bad what you call bad information more than we share any valuable educational information. So the fact that you're a public public figure, people will always have that will always have views about yourself. And for Godan, this is the class of what you call 1994 class. I mean, one of the first leaders who got into government positions, the new democratic dispensation, and one of those who are part of the longest serving members of National Assembly. So the generation that I think you were referring to earlier on, Thomas, to say we have this other older people that might die in certain after a certain period. These are the same people that served with Pravin, and
Yeah.
his role having interchanged. He moved from one department to another, one ministry to another, and we mostly remember him from the Minister of Finance position.
Yeah.
Which was a key ministry. So people will always have will definitely have views, and some of their views that they have definitely are linked towards how he behaved and what he did and did not do while he was still in this occupying these positions of high positions and influence. So whether we like it or not, you're a public figure, people will talk about you. And it's politics, and the nature of politics is that there are no boundaries. People speak what they feel about you in terms of politics, unfortunately. So how the EFF is talking about Pravin, it's relative to how they react to what Pravin has done in their view, or did not do, whether he sold out here and there or he betrayed here and there. It's mostly centered around those. Excuse me, it's very cold. It's very cold.
It's very cold, man. So, guys, I want us to jump to another topic, man. Did you guys see that video of Thabo Bester when he was bursting in court because he actually wants to be allowed to have a laptop, man? And we are talking about someone who has been accused of, I don't even want to say what he has been charged of, man. It's insane because if I say what he has been charged of, this video might actually be flagged on YouTube. But did you guys see that video? I want to share it to this, especially with the people that did not see the video. I want to share this video with you guys. I want to show you what actually happened. It's insane. And and guys, do you think that Groenewald has a lot to do, especially on these matters like the ones of Thabo Bester? This is what. Can you guys see the video?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay, let me do like this. Man, do you think that Groenewald has a lot to actually do, man? Groenewald, I believe that he has a lot. Okay, this is. So can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Thabo Bester actually bursting out of in court.
I can access anything without them being next to me. There are cameras outside my door. I am asking for a very minimum in this current situation that I request access to a device, even if it's without, so that I can type and view this press briefings that were made that said that Thabo had to be deported or whatever reason, so that I can type the key factors that I want to use as evidence to the unlawful deportation application that I have put as the main application. And because of that, Your Honor, the court must take into consideration that 90% of this case, of the main application, the state has trialed it in the media, meaning 90% of the information is not accessible to me. And most of the allegations I don't have access to. I don't even get a newspaper. I don't have a radio. I don't have a watch. I don't even know what time it is. That is how I've lived for the past 16 months. So this privilege and my circumstances of incarceration enforces me to try and fight for myself. And Your Honor, I believe that any person has a right to fight, to have legal and fair process to access the court. And all I am asking is to be able to put my application in proper manner. If the court is able to arrange that I have access to this, to the required documentation and the required evidence, I have absolutely no problem. But at the current stage, there's a direct infringement on Section 32 of access of information. I have no information. I'm only allowed certain information that's approved by the area commissioner, and through that, I cannot access whatever information I would feel relevant to my application. I cannot access any administrational case that I want to pursue with the court, because I would need a third party to assist me. And that third party would rely on financial resources and also rely on strict limitations by the respondents, meaning that I have a very limited resource in getting visitation, be it legal or otherwise.
Shoot away, anybody? Benedict, what do you think? Unmute.
Yeah, I was saying I was hoping Kovas would chip in first, but
I hope you were going first.
All right. Look, I think one thing that stood out the most for me around this issue, whether we like. I want to take nothing away from the fact that Bester faces serious challenges, and I want to get to the issue of what he says, and this will then be proven whether it's true or not. But the reason why he's choosing to represent himself in court, right? Part of the reasons which he puts forward is the fact that he says certain counsellors, lawyers that were supposed to represent him, because of the high profile of this case and its nature, there doesn't seem to be anyone who's willing to take his case on. And those that he has approached and he wanted them to represent him did not want to represent him, so he had to take the matters into his own hands to represent him. And so it is an argument that he's putting forward, and so the merits of his case now regarding the laptop says to you that one, whether currently there's a case of the SCSA where an inmate was requesting access to a laptop, but this request was only for an inmate that was currently studying law while incarcerated and so forth. So they wanted to access some form of device to learn, right? And this also comes out in what Thabo Bester says, because he speaks to the issue of saying there is that currently the correctional facilities allows only students to be able to access legal resources and also certain devices for academic studies. And he dares, to his credit, he then says, so I would not want to enroll or say I'm a student of law in order to be able to access the device, because that will not be truth. And but I'm only requesting this device in order to prepare for my for the legal cases that I'm facing. So whether we like it or not, the court is accessed online. Majority of majority of court documents, cases, precedents, and case laws that one would require, you can only access majority of them online. So if you do not have access to a device and you are forced to represent yourself, then it's going to make that your legal preparations and your defense extremely unfair. And I think there is some merit to a certain extent, not for the laptop per se, but for what he's requesting for when he's saying he's asking for legal resources. And you could hear that the court is saying that no, we will give and make provisions for you to have access to legal resources, right? But the question becomes, if you are not going to give him a device and you are saying you are going to give him books, what happens in instances where he needs to go and research certain case laws that are relevant to what his case and the charges that he's facing? You understand? Are you going to print out pages and pages and put it and bring them to his cell? So I'm of the view that there was a bit of substance to what he was requesting, but around case what you call legal materials and resources that he can use to fight and defend himself. But as for the laptop, I think he was reaching. He was reaching. It was a bit of a dream. Yeah.
Kovas, what do you think?
Thomas, I just think that he is a scammer. He's a convicted rapist. He's what he's gonna. The last time he had a computer in prison in Mangaung under supervision, he was scamming people with that 21st century situation there. I think it was 20th Century Fox, where he was claiming that the two people, what was her name, Harry Belly and somebody else was going to meet, and then he put a video there where they congratulate him on his birthday, and it was all a big scam. What is it? Tarai Henson, that is the other person, and then this is the way he cannot leave the women and the people alone. He has to do things like that. He's not interested in getting his back. But let's go back to what the law says. The law says that if you don't have money to represent yourself, we will supply you with legal aid. He doesn't want legal aid. He doesn't want it. He's saying, no, I can't get access to lawyers and things. He's talking nonsense. Those lawyers will sit there, even if they have to sleep in a caravan in front of the prison, they have to attend to him. He's talking nonsense. So I don't believe what his stories is. I agree with what the judge says. Yes, your legal books, you see what you can do with that. You wouldn't even know where to start reading those books. Let me just tell you that. So I have no sympathy for him, for faking it, getting with his girlfriend, making plans to bring a dead body into his cell. I mean, that is so inhuman. I would not give him anything. In fact, I'll just throw the key away.
So, okay, Benedict.
Look, Thomas, Kovas, look, I do not condone what Bester has done, and I'm a firm believer of let the law take its course, and that justice will prevail. And I think if we take away the our personal level, our moral perceptions and views, and discuss whether or not denying him, because you are correct to say that if one cannot afford legal representation, there are other avenues that the law provides, that you can have access to legal aid and so forth. But we know the history of legal aid, what you call counsels and so forth. So maybe on the side of Thabo, there's an issue of lack of trust for his, because this case is quite complex. You would need someone with a bit certain level of competence. I am not saying, and I want to categorically state it, I'm not saying legal aid people are incompetent. Thomas, please do not cut this issue out when you are editing. I am saying definitely that it might have just been the matter of choice that he prefers to say, let's I'd rather what you call represent myself. But the question becomes, if you are saying, Kubas, you are correct to say, well, if they give him just books and all of these things, it's going to be difficult for him to read and understand these things. Then it says that he might not even have a fair trial if he continues to want to represent himself, because if he's not given the resources that enables him to defend himself, he might not even have access to a fair trial. And then the question then becomes, where is the justice? Because whether we like it or not, the law is supposed to be unbiased, and everyone must be given the right of defense. It must be a fair trial.
I have a solution for that. Sorry, okay. Thomas. I have a solution for that. If he doesn't want any legal representation, and I heard you covering up for the legal aid, but it's okay. No, I'm just joking. I do sometimes also see things like that, but that doesn't stop the person to still. I mean, they are legal advisors, and every single counsel in that specializes in a specific field. I mean, you can't do contracts and you're a divorce lawyer, you know, so there are fields that people have, and they qualify in that, and they specialize in that. And yes, I think they will give him the right people. I would have one person that he communicates with from a legal point of view, and he speaks to this person. He can write on a letter. This person can go see him once a week or whenever, and he says to him, I want the following information. Then he can go out there and get the information and bring it back to him. Here's your documents that you wanted to get. Here's your documents. The thing of access to the internet is a very dangerous thing, and open access to internet. If there was a way that we can get a computer that is only access like you say, the case laws or the case files, yes, then that might be a good, if you should give him a tab with, and that device can only do that, then that would be a better choice. But giving him an open sesame on the internet, no, I don't think it's the right thing.
Yeah. So do you guys think that, right, because me personally, when I'm looking at this whole thing of Thabo Bester, yeah, you are both making valid arguments, but again, I'm looking at Thabo Bester and how he has been conducting himself in the court of law. I'm starting to believe, maybe I could be wrong, maybe Benedict or you, Kobas, can tell me if you think that I'm wrong. Maybe I could be wrong, but I'm starting to believe that Thabo Bester is starting to try to scrap the credibility of the courts, because this is not the first time that he has had an outburst in court. You remember the last time he was talking about how he was being mistreated in court, and now he's talking about how he's not being allowed to have the laptop. So I'm starting to think that Thabo Bester is also deploying a strategy where he's going to make the courts look like, okay, they're not being fair towards him. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is the strategy that he's using so that the people outside can say that, no, the South African courts are not being fair on Thabo Bester, because right now, every time when he appears in court, we don't know what he's going to say this time around, because it looks like every time he appears in court, he has this outbursts that are coming out of nowhere. So is it fair of me to actually say that Thabo Bester is trying to make it look like the courts, the South African courts, are actually working against him, which is going to make the people outside not to trust the courts?
Yeah, no, he's definitely had a lot of attacks onto the actual judge on numerous occasions. I mean, the disrespect for our courts, he's proved that in many cases. Then he just argues that people have made him out as a monster, and none of those allegations has been proved. You are a monster. You have pleaded guilty for rape of two girls, and you killed your own girlfriend. So there you are a monster. So I just think that the court is handling it very well, and I think we mustn't entertain anything of that in our courts. I have seen how even legal people or legal professional people in the councils and that have also been arguing with the judge or the court. They don't say they argue with the judge, they argue with the court. And those kind of things have to stop in South Africa, and I think they must make an example of that and stop all this nonsense. I don't think he wants to go. I don't think he wants to have any. He's like Zuma. I want my day in court, but then he kicks the can down the road again. So I don't think he wants his day in court. No, I disagree. I disagree. Thomas, I've got something to ask you.
Yeah.
Are you related to Thabo Bester?
No, I'm not.
Can I tell you guys an interesting fact that I read? He was born in Baragwana Hospital out of Soweto. He was never documented. His mother was also not documented, but they traced her as Maria, and she is the same surname as you.
Yeah, my boss. So I know.
Did you know that? That's why I'm asking you.
I'm not related, man.
Thomas needs to go to the ancestry.com. He might find it.
Yeah, you don't know, man. So, Ben, what do you think, man? Do you think that Thabo Bester is trying to make South African courts look bad in front of the nation?
I think it's a desperate man that has been cornered and realizes that it doesn't have a way out. He can't maneuver himself out of the situation around. I mean, we're talking about a so-called mastermind of who brought a body that had to be disguised as he himself. So one could say that this is somebody who plots, plans, and connives to a certain extent. But right now, being at CMAX clearly says to you that you are there's not a lot that you can do. The justice has got its claws on you. So the only other options that you have is to try and look at loopholes. And I'm saying the bringing the term loopholes because part of his argument now is that he's questioning his deportation, right, from Tanzania, and he's also questioning his arrest and so forth. Now, what he's not arguing and about or denying are the allegations and the charges brought against him, but he's trying to look at procedural, procedural matters to say whether his deportation was legal, because part of him wanting access to laptops and also a modem, saying he wants it under supervision. He also talks to the issue of saying the press conferences. He wants to look at visuals of press conferences where it was stated that he has to be deported and how that came about, that his deportation was illegal. So I think in as much as it could be seen as though he's trying to undermine the courts, there's also one possible reality. he's also trying to look at other possible avenues to try and lessen the charges, and also to try and question procedure. Because if he can prove that his deportation was somewhat illegal, right? Then it means he's got grounds, some grounds for the state. Only if he can prove. He's just trying, he's fishing for excuse.
Yeah.
I think it's a question.
I'm just thinking aloud, and we're not going into the actual facts of the case, but I mean, I faked my death. I get caught in Tanzania with an American passport, with the name, I don't know, the surname Williams Kelly, or I can't remember what it was at the time. And I can tell you one thing about the Tanzanian government. They don't allow criminals to walk the streets in their country. They don't like that at all. So they detained him there and say, listen, you better take this guy out, otherwise, we're going to do something else to him. I think he's lucky that he got out of Tanzania to come to South Africa, I'll be honest with you, because they don't play with the people in prisons there. That is the worst thing. You don't want to be in a prison in Tanzania. You're lucky if you come alive out of it.
Yeah. Does it mean that we, like the South African law, is too lenient on criminals? Because you look at what Thabo Bester has been convicted of, and the fact that he still gets an airtime to go in front of the judge to basically attack the judge and to
we all know, Benedict and Thomas, we know that this is our constitution, and it's your constitutional right to do this kind of thing. But sometimes I think we're pushing it a little bit too far, and sometimes maybe we should just tweak our constitution a little bit, just to make it really, it must be a punishment when people get a life sentence. It must be life without parole, hard work, and you will work at that prison. I don't know if you know, years ago, all the prisoners had to, they go out in the morning, and then they have to work in the areas where they plant vegetables, and all those stuff is being used to make food again. That's nothing. Now people just hang around there talking nonsense, maybe play a bit of netball or ball in the courtyard, and then go back again, go eat your plate of food. No, I really think that life sentence must be life sentence. I don't believe in a death penalty, but life is there must be life. Never ever get parole. If you've got a life sentence, you cannot do anything. You can never get out again.
Yeah.
There will be a calendar on the thing that you will never get out. Yeah. No, I don't agree. I think we must be harsher on these kind of things, and maybe there are certain cases that we must be taken, that the new laws have to tweak those things and bring people, because if you saw that videos that came out the other day of people saying, hey, no, it's lucky, we've got devices, and our food's good, life is good. I mean, please, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, has tried to stop it, but I think it still happens every day.
Yeah. Benedict.
Our constitution is hailed as one of the best and models of democracy. It's respected globally. That it's what they call a model constitution for a democratic society. But to a certain extent, one would know that the case of State versus Kanyane, which defined the basis for the right to life, that whether one has committed a crime and killed someone, that you still are entitled to certain rights, and these rights are enshrined within our constitution. So whether we like it or not, I'm coming to the point of Kovas who say maybe we need to tweak our constitution a bit and be harsh. It's that it will take a bit of, because there have been calls. I know organizations like ATM to this day, they still call for what you call the death penalty, and because they still view that the current society requires such. But of course, there are certain acts within our constitution that are in conflict with that view. Then it says that if we want to go that route, then we need to amend the constitution, and the question then becomes, what case or what incident would thrive and push our country towards the direction of amending the constitution in order to ensure that we've got harsher repercussions and harsher sentences. It's something that we are yet to see. I mean, you can tell when Kobas is talking about Thabo that he's got serious resentments for his views around Thabo. If Kobas was a judge now, I am telling you. So,
well, I hear what you say. If I was a judge, what would have happened? I want to hear what you said.
If you were a judge
I believe in fairness, and I also say that you're not God. You can't take life of another person. So that's basically what I'm saying. And I just think that even now, with if he jumps up every time in court, we're just going to say we're going to carry on with the case. So you don't want legal representation. I mean, it'll come out in the next, when they get in court, these things will be spelled out, what is going to happen and things like that. And I'm also looking forward to see what the judge is going to say there, Thomas.
Yeah. So during the week, there's an interesting interview that actually happened on SABC between Clement Manyathela and the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Julius Malema. So the VBS is back. It looks like the VBS is a gift that keeps on giving. Just when you thought we are done with the VBS, another big name comes out. So Clement Manyathela actually asked Julius Malema about his potential role and the role that the EFF has potentially played into the VBS. And Julius Malema said that, okay, the Parliament Ethics Committee, they cleared me, but we know that the same Parliament Ethics Committee actually found Floyd Shivambu of being guilty of getting the money that he got from Zimbabwe project, which is his brother's company that had links with the Vele Investment. The Vele Investment is the company that belongs to that guy who was the head of VBS, Matodi. So we know for a fact that Floyd Shivambu got the money that came straight from the VBS because he got the money from Zimbabwe project, and Zimbabwe project had the links with the VBS. And Julius Malema said, no. The Parliament Ethics Committee, they cleared me, so I'm clean. And you guys are not even doing your job, because if you did your job, you would know that even Naledi Pandor benefited from the VBS. So Julius Malema literally implicated Naledi Pandor into the collapse of the VBS. What do you think about it, guys? What do you think? What was your thoughts, man, when Julius Malema did that? Kubas, what was your thoughts?
First of all, let me just tell you, he is a very clever guy. All right, and why I say he's a very clever guy is he can change even the guy that interviews him to move away from the fact that he was part of the VBS scandal with Floyd Shivambu. Let me tell you, even Dolly and Pofo, you saw that interviews they had. No, it wasn't donated, it was a loan, and then Dolly and they were fighting about that as well, because why did you say in the thing it was a loan? So he's fully aware of it. So to divert this to somebody else like Naledi Pandor is a strategy of him so that he doesn't have to answer any questions about his involvement, because Clement asked him, have you gained anything in your personal life, in your personal gain with your family or whatever? And he said no. But that doesn't mean that look, I don't believe Julius ever telling the truth, but the other thing is going to Naledi Pandor, look, I know that he is not happy with her for a very, very long time. I remember long time ago, it was somewhere around, let me just think, I think it's 2011, 2012, he was actually, it was something to do with, she was a minister and he wanted people's salaries reviewed and things like that. And he was also going for her as well in those years. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what it was, but yes, he's a guy that likes to gun for her. I don't personally think that she did get money from VBS, but that she was complicit in the NEC that knew about the VBS scandal. Yes, this she's guilty of.
So, Benedict, when you look at this issue, of VBS and how the politicians are just accusing each other, do you think that at some point we are going to get some sort of justice, or do you think this issue of VBS, it is something now, it is a political ball that people are just playing with, but we know for a fact that people's lives have been affected. We know that people have lost their life savings in that scam of VBS. So do you think that we are going to get some sort of justice in this whole thing of VBS? And again, what do you think about Julius Malema just coming out and saying, Naledi Pando, you are not innocent?
Yeah, no, I think with regards to justice, VBS, I mean, VBS is huge, and you are correct to say it is the gift that keeps on giving, because when one looks at it, the ties of beneficiaries there, the whole value chain, in one way or another, ends up within the hands of a certain political figure, mainly those who are coming from the governing party. Now, it then says to you that a lot of these people, whether it might come out now or not, but there is a way that you can be able to tie what you call the value chain towards somebody who's of political influence. One thing I've come to notice about how Julius does things is that most of the times some of the issues he says come from some form of intel that he has. There are certain things that he might have said which came out, and then there was some sort of lie towards it. But in the main, some of the things that he has said have come to be true. And for him to go on a national platform like that and then single out Naledi Pando, then one would then say, what was the motive and of why he's singling out specifically Naledi Pando? Was it vindictive? Because you also need to check how the respondent or the response of Naledi Pando comes about. Because in her response to Clement on 702, in her response, she then says, look, I don't know, I've never said anything bad about Malema, and I don't know why the gentleman is now saying or feeling the need to throw my name or insert into the VBS saga. Now, that is the response, and she then goes on to say, no, but I'm in Cape Town. I don't even know whether there's a VBS branch or in Cape Town. I do all my banking only in Cape Town, right? And then when asked to say, are you going to confront Julius about this particular issue, and so that you get to address him, she then says, no, I'll only address it in the media platforms. I won't call Julius for anything. I'll just clarify my name in the media platforms. One could then say that's a one way of being a professional, or could it be a tactic to avoid? Because if there is confrontation with somebody like Julius, when you want to confront Julius, you can't control how he responds. You can't preempt that it's going to be cordial with you. he might as well say, "Yeah, I told you." You understand, and it becomes something else. So I think VBS, there's a lot of politicians that are implicated. It was for the first time that I hear of Naledi Pando's name, to be quite honest. But then, given the fact that the value chain in some of these instances does not explicitly mention the names of certain politicians, right? But rather the entities that have got ties to them. You understand? And that's how it is, because somebody like Floyd could even be saying, no, but the person that was mentioned there is my brother and so forth. But when you do your own investigative work, you will then realize that there are ties between what you call Skamega and Floyd. So perhaps there could be merits what Julius is saying, that if you look here and closely and investigate some of these other entities, you might find that there's a link towards Naledi. But it's now that it has come out and there's a spotlight that has been shone upon it, I can tell you that maybe we might be able to find out some more in the coming days or weeks.
Yeah, because even me too, I found it, I don't know how to put it. I found it a bit weird that Naledi Pandor, the first thing that she says is not that I'm going to sue Julius Malema for actually destroying my good name, but I'm going to leave it to the public. And I was like, why would you leave it to the public? Because the man has literally just accused you of being one of the people that are responsible for the collapse of the VBS. And instead of saying that I am contacting my lawyers, you see, after this call, Clement, I'm contacting my lawyers right now, and I'm going to make Julius Malema publicly apologize for destroying my good name. But Naledi Pandor said that no, I'm going to leave it to the public, and to me it was quite weird. I mean, Kobas, you remember that for the longest time, Pauli van Wyk used to say that you guys in the EFF, you benefited from VBS, and the people said that no, Pauli van Wyk is talking nonsense about the VBS, but people at the same time were saying, no, why is the EFF not suing Pauli van Wyk? Why are you not taking her to court? Because she's destroying the good name of the mighty EFF. She's destroyed the good name of the mighty EFF. Why are you not taking her to court? And they did not take her to court until now. The EFF has never taken Pauli van Wyk to court, and it looks like Naledi Pandor is doing the same thing. So as much as we might say that, okay, Naledi Pandor has a bit of credibility, but truth of the matter is that we are going to look at her the same way we looked at the leaders of the EFF for simply failing to take the matters to the court.
Yes, Thomas, I agree. I also think that she did mention that she wanted a public apology from him. That's one of the articles I read. But she wasn't very strong. This message
She's not going to get it.
And say, I will take you to court. Defamation of character. I'm going to lock you up now. There was nothing like that. Nothing like that. So yes, that was a bit on the thought. But maybe we should ask Polly to get further on that. But look, there's no uncertain terms that bags of money was being taken to Lutuli House, at that crime scene. They've taken the bags there, and I'm telling you now, that is where money was given to. It was given to the ANC, and she's part of the NEC, and she must have known about this, because there's lots, all of a sudden, going from a bankrupt, all of a sudden there's lots of money, and I agree. We're looking forward to see what's the next step in investigation. I just went through the actual affidavit that was written about revealing certain things, and I just did a search right through it to see if her name is mentioned, but the name is not mentioned in that affidavit. But this is not like you say, Benedict. There could be a indirect link to certain things, and that'll come out. That'll definitely come out, y'all. I know that she was very fond of giving money to Cuba and things like that, and she wanted to, and there must be money flowing somehow, because the government at that stage says, no, we're not going to give money to Cuba, because they wanted 50 million or something. So maybe she did give them 50 million, but just from another source, so yeah, I'm looking forward to see how that's going to play out.
I mean, Benedict, the fact that Naledi Pando's name came out and she's not even suing. She's not even suing. She's not taking the matters to the legals. She says she wants a public apology from Julius Malema. She's not going to get that. Julius Malema is not going to go out in public and apologize to Naledi Pando. He's not going to do that. So do you think that other big names are coming? Now that Naledi Pando cannot even take the matters to the court, do you think that this is just a tip of the iceberg? We are yet to hear of the most prominent names, because we've heard of the Floyd Shivambus, we've heard of the EFF. You remember Dalimpofu saying that, no, getting the money from VBS, it was never a secret. It was a loan, a donation. He could not even put it how. But do you think inside of the ANC, we are yet to hear the most prominent names now that Naledi Pando's name is out?
Yeah, look, I think the VBS is now what one would call a hot potato. Nobody wants to carry it, and nobody wants to be associated with it. So if you throw it, if you are in a room full of NEC members and you are holding this VBS potato and you just throw it into the ground, hypothetically speaking.
I think they're throwing it really as well.
So I think that's one thing that we're bound to see. Nobody wants to be associated with this thing. We've just seen the Minister of Justice being seriously implicated, and this VBS, it's a career ender. I mean, this is the stuff that can end one's political career, and that can severely deal with one's reputation. So I get the sense that the expectation would have been that if anyone wants to associate me or associate Naledi with this particular issue in this context, the first thing that one would want to do is to say, how do I immediately clear my name from the onset about this particular issue? And one of the best ways to clear your name, if you know that you are not in a wrong, is through legal avenues that are available. Because that on its own, it was not a political platform, because within the political platforms, one is allowed, politicians can be able to politicize an issue, speak about an issue, because they are protected as a political platform, right? So they are just expressing their political views. But being on a live television, that is not a political platform, right? And that then says to you that you are in a position to then consider or explore the legal avenues that are available to you to say, this person went on media platform and publicly accused me of being a beneficiary towards this scandal, right? And then one would then take steps against that. So if within the coming days, Naledi does consider legal avenues, one would then say it might give credibility towards what she is saying. But if you are leaving matters to the public discord, you just leave it to the public to make its conclusion, then it says that you only want what was said by the political leader to remain a political issue. Because like I'm saying, we've had politicians speaking ill about other political parties, but during political platforms or at political platforms, and it is then seen as politicky. You understand that that was just pure politics, and they did not do anything about it. But in instances where the matter is in the public in that way, then it means you are damaging my good name and my reputation, and therefore one has to take those measures. So I think it will be interesting to see what happens within the course of few days to come whether Naledi decides to consider legal options or not. Whether I see Julius publicly apologizing, the likelihood of that,
No.
I do not foresee. I do not foresee.
No.
No ways, no ways.
There's no way. No way.
No ways.
No way, guys. I want us to look at this video, and after we looked at this video, I want you to actually tell me what do you think. I want you to tell me what do you think. Hey, guys, things are happening in this continent of ours.
Quite the startling story, this, right? And I want to start off in Zim, and then we'll take a look at the case in Zimbabwe as well. But the initial story, when you come across it, 200 elephants to be culled because of a drought and to be distributed to hunger-stricken communities. What was your initial thought hearing that story?
Good day, Naledi. You know, it's a food security problem. And again, in a country like Zimbabwe, that should be feeding the continent, not the other way around. People should not be able to resort to desperate measures like that. At the same time, I look at the management of the conservation of wildlife and the environment in general. Because if you look at the numbers then, Zimbabwe is said to be home to over 85,000 elephants, the second largest population of elephants in the world, I'm told. And yet the carrying capacity, what environmentalists will call the carrying capacity, meaning what the natural vegetation of Zimbabwe, the climate and everything can support, is 45,000, which means it's nearly 2 times the population. So let's simplify it. I'm not quoting anybody other than Jenashe Farao, who's the Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Authority. If you know Naledi is coming to visit you for dinner, and next thing Naledi brings 2, 3 more people to the dinner, you know you're going to have to make a plan. And that tells you something about Africa, which as the tourism mecca of the world is not doing enough to manage its natural resources, because it should be a part of a long-term strategy to know what we are doing with the natural resources that we have to ensure that we don't put a burden on what the ecosystem can support.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Guys, thoughts? What is happening, guys? Benedict. Benedict
is saying, I was
Benedict,
he wants to win this round. You got me. Yes, I just think that people are starving. There's no two ways about that issue. People are starving, but now you count 200 elephants, and the people and the children eat that 200 elephants. How you solve the next week? What are you going to do next week? Take another 200. But one thing that I must just tell you about the figures. The last time that I was in Zimbabwe, that was in 1995. Now I just want to go there quickly because the thing is which I want to tell you about is about I was in the Ghana Reserve. And they call it, the name means the place of the elephants. And at that time when I was there was a big board at the entrance of this national park. We have 100,000 elephants in this thing. I was there for 3 days. I didn't see one elephant, but BS I saw their dung and over the road and but Zimbabwe is an arid country. It's dry. They haven't got enough water resources and things like that. But that board says there was 100,000 in that national park. The guy, I looked for the statistics and I found that there's only about 11,000 left. So they must have culled 90,000 of them, and plus more because they breed and everything, already in Zimbabwe. And they also use it there's a lot of Americans coming, they want to shoot the big fire, they want to shoot elephants in Zimbabwe. So yeah, I just think that there's no care for the people in Africa in a lot of countries. And we can say whatever we want to, we have got the same problem in South Africa. There's a lot of people that hasn't got food on the table, and it's getting worse and worse every day here in South Africa. I know that they culled quite a few animals in, I think in Namibia as well, to feed some people, or I don't know what the reason therefore was, but I definitely, I'm more worried about the fact that there's people that hasn't got food than the culling of, I mean, if you've got 85,000 and you can only have, should only have 45,000, yes, then I can understand you culling, but you don't put that reason to say that we want to feed the people. I don't like that.
Benedict, like when a story like this actually breaks, what do you think about the story to start with? And do you think that this story coming out and being pumped out in the media is actually going to prompt more people to actually leave Zimbabwe and to say, guys, if this is how bad things are, then I'm leaving. And the next destination is South Africa. So do you think that more Zimbabweans are going to come to South Africa simply by hearing this news of how bad things are in their country? Maybe some people still have a bit left, but they don't want to get to a point where they will have to be fed with these elephants. So what do you think about the story? And do you think that this story is going to prompt more people to actually come into the country?
Look, I think one reality that we have to look at here, and I also like what Kubas mentioned there, to say you are culling what you call 200 elephants because you are saying there's hunger and people are hungry, then you need to feed people, and you assume that this should be the best option. And the basis of this is that there's people are hungry because of drought, and if people are hungry because of drought, then it says to you that the best approach, because I think there's serious lack of and poor leadership in this regard, because when there's a drought, one of the what you call sectors that suffers the most is the farming sector, right? The agricultural sector. Now, you then have a situation where farmers are going to lose livestock, right? On the basis of drought, hunger, and what you call lack of adequate water supply and so forth, right? So, but as a government that really wanted to address the hunger issue and provide some form of remedy, instead of going for wild life, the priority should have been rather let's see how to incentivize farmers to purchase their livestock, you understand, in large quantities at negotiated pricings, and in order to avoid farmers losing their livestock on the basis of because of drought and them incurring losses. Rather engage with the farmers, because wildlife meat is not really a priority for a number of people. The first priority becomes livestock, right? So, and this option would have then also have had economic benefit for the for the affected regions. But if you overlook the farmers that have got livestock readily available for sale, but you would rather go and kill animals as opposed to taking a remedy that benefits the economy of the affected regions, and also would then save farmers play a lot on cost of losing livestock. Then it says that one needs to start questioning your motives to say, what are the reasons why you would want to kill this high number of elephants? We know that there's realities of poaching in Zimbabwe, and there's a lot of illicit market that is thriving across Zimbabwe. If minerals such as gold can be easily illicitly moved in and out through private jets, outside of the country. What more of ivory? Now, these are issues we need to talk to come into terms with. That once you start killing elephants, you are definitely opening up room for what you call for ivory, for poachers to start monetarizing this process. So there's also precedents that we're starting to see, and the decision that Zimbabwe has taken now to cull comes shortly after Namibia decided to cull almost 800 what you call wildlife, some of which are elephants. Now, that then says to you that you are setting a precedence of culling, that other African countries will then start considering this as an avenue to try and address the economic, socio-economic challenges that they have. And unfortunately, if Namibia took this road, and now you have Zimbabwe that is following, there's also going to be that precedent that other African countries might want to pursue the same avenue. Whether is this approach sustainable? And the question then also becomes, who stands to benefit the most from this process, from the economic perspective? That's something we need to look at, because when you say you are going to cull, you are going to bring in so-called professional hunters, and many of whom have come from foreign countries. You understand? Like as Kubas was saying, that you've got these multinational companies and executives that have got a fetish that love to shoot the big fives and hang them in their different estates and so forth. But the reality is that the real economic benefit is not going to be the economic benefit of Zimbabwe as a country, but rather you are going to have multinational corporates that are going to monetize this process. Others are going to get into what then happens to the ivory once these elephants have been dealt with. Wild meat is exported across several countries. You understand? Because you don't. How often have you gone to a restaurant, Thomas, and said, "No, I feel like elephant meat today"? You understand? You get what I'm saying? So, who gets to eat this type of particular meat? So, if you are serious and saying you want to address the hunger shortage and the struggle of the challenges that are brought by drought, you shouldn't even be looking at as the first resort. Of course, culling is allowed and if it's regulated, but this must not be the first resort. So for Zimbabwe to look at this as a first resort, it says to you that the timing of it, something is fishy and there's an economic benefit somewhere. There was an accusation, rumors that, you know what, with Namibia, there were two regions that were targeted for the culling of animals. That was the Kivango region and this other region, I just forgot what it was. And this is where the ruling party is expected to say they might be able to get enough votes, because Namibia is heading towards its national elections right now. So the question was then, what then happens? Why are you culling and saying you're providing free meat, you're going to give people meat and cull in these particular areas? Could it be politically motivated as opposed to putting the what you call the welfare and the benefit of the country forward? So I think there's something fishy here with this culling process. Something is very fishy.
Yeah, like you already said a mouthful, Benedict. Because if you look at it that way, you can see that many people are going to benefit, but the citizens of Zimbabwe are not going to benefit. The people on the ground are not going to benefit, and the response of South African government. Is there any official response to this news coming out of Zimbabwe?
Thomas, I must admit, I didn't see any official response to that. I know that people of the ruling party in South Africa don't like to say a lot about their neighbors. They don't keen to say you are doing wrong, please don't cull them. How can we help with some food? Because remember, the point that I'm still making is because of the people are hungry. They are walking over the borders in any case, and we're not taking that debate today. But people are coming here because they are hungry for no other reason. That there's no work, there's nothing, they can't survive, they've been neglected, you know. So yes, it's a pity that we see the leaders in Africa doing that. They can complain about all other things, but I don't know why. I think it's because they get greedy and they get lots of money. And then the rest of the people, no, will help you. And if you don't vote for me, I'll come and kill you. You know, they really do bad things to their people. And I agree fully what Benedict said, that there's something funny to the situation. And I don't think 200 elephants, maybe there's about 200 times 5 tons or something of meat. That's not going to help you, you know. What happens if they eat and all that now, 2 weeks later? So what's your next step? Another 200. I think they've been culling for many, many years. I don't trust the numbers of elephants there. And I also think that, you know, if you get 200 of your largest male elephants, you can make a lot of money with the tusks. A lot of money. That is a big number. So now they're feeding the people, but the government are taking all that money. You know, I think they do that in any case. But yeah, it's a sad story for Africa. Another country that really hasn't got food for their people, and rather go into agriculture, as Benedict has said, go fix the thing, help the people, get some relief for them so that they can plant again in the rainy season or whatever the reason are. Remember, those elephants are going to areas because they drink a lot of water. They are going to areas where there are water. They never said that the elephants is hungry. They said the people are hungry. So there is water in the rivers, there is water, and there's things for them to eat around the banks and wherever they are. You know, I mean, the Zambezi goes right through there. There's lots of water. So I don't know what's going on here. It's not to feed the elephants, it's to feed the people.
Yeah, it's clearly there's something happening here. Guys, thank you so much, man, for joining the platform. And before I let you go, guys, Benedict, what would you like to say to the viewers? And after you, Kobas, you can go and tell the viewers what would you like to say.
Yeah, look, I think this episodes have been quite great, and I look forward to more episodes. And of course, we want to invite your viewers to keep on following us, and then also subscribe, and let's see you again next week, and hopefully.
Thank you, Thomas, and I like that. I do like that. But yes, I just wanted to say to your viewers, you can always give a thumbs down for me, but not for this channel. I think the channel is brilliant, and you can dissect it and maybe say why is Kobus saying that or this, but please do that. Please comment on that. I think it's something that we can learn from you as viewers. It's so important, your interactions, and I'm looking forward to getting that feedback as well. And once again, thank you, Thomas, and Benedict, thank you so much.
Yeah, that was it, guys, on this weekly news recap. This is the episode 5. We will see you next week. I had Benedict and Kobas Kutse. We will see you next week, guys. So please don't forget to tell us what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.